afford this. That can't be right.
Okay, hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Robin and my Instagram handle is MotherPixels. So if you're anything like me, looking at an $8,000 camera is shocking. I personally would never spend that kind of money on camera equipment. I could find a lot of better things to do with my money, like buy myself a used car, a down payment for a condo, or go to Mexico 4 times, but I would certainly never spend $8,000 on a camera. But the good news is you don't need to. Get beautiful photos. You can take amazing images with an entry-level DSLR camera. Like this is my little Nikon D3400 camera. And I'm going to share with you some of the images that I've taken with this entry-level camera. I used to think that if I didn't have like the latest and greatest equipment that I couldn't possibly take the kind of photos that I see on Instagram that I really like, but yes, you can. In this video, I will break it down for you by the numbers. I will share with you the expenses and the budget that you should have if you were to get into very specific types of photography like portrait, landscape, wildlife. If you were to get a crop sensor camera versus a full frame camera, I will also recommend tripods, camera bags, polarizers, basically the kit and the gear that you need if you're starting off in photography, the best value for your buck, where you can splurge a little bit and where you can save money. If you stay till the very end, I will share with you an Excel sheet that has very detailed breakdown of all the gear. You can just hold the space button on your laptop, take a screenshot, and use that as a guide to create a budget for yourself. Now let's start off with the camera body. I recommend that if you have a small budget, you first use a crop sensor camera. So I would recommend, for example, the Nikon D3500. The body alone is about $400. If you were to go with a full frame camera, not only is the body more expensive, but all the lenses are more expensive. So for example, on a full frame camera, the body alone is about $1,500. Now, if you're looking to get into landscape photography, then you're going to need a wide angle lens. A wide angle lens will maximize the size of a foreground in relation to the background, which creates depth in a photo, and that is key when it comes to landscape photography. It tells a beautiful, compelling story, and it makes the person feel like they're in the scene. So for a wide angle lens, I recommend the Nikon 10 to 20 millimeter wide angle lens, and this lens is approximately $400. An equivalent wide angle lens on a full frame camera would be the Nikon 16 to 35 millimeter lens, and this lens is about $1,400. So that is a $1,000 difference. If you want to get into portrait photography, then I really recommend that you get yourself a prime lens. So the Nifty 50, the 50 millimeter 1.8 aperture lens is a great lens for portrait photography because the 1.8 aperture creates those beautiful, soft, creamy, out of focus backgrounds that allows the subject to stand out. So a 50 millimeter 1.8 aperture lens will set you back about $250. Now it costs the same whether it's on a crop sensor camera or a full frame camera, so there's really no savings there, but it is a great portrait lens. If you want to get into wildlife photography, then I really recommend that you get yourself a telephoto lens. So I use the 70 to 300 millimeter telephoto lens. It allows me to photograph wildlife from a very safe distance, and this lens is approximately $400. An equivalent telephoto lens on a full frame camera, the 70 to 200 millimeter lens, is about $1,800. So that is a $1,400 difference. Now let's talk filters. These are very important for landscape photography. Now if you have a budget, then I recommend that you just get yourself the circular filters that you attach to the front of your lens. So this is a circular polarizer. You screw it onto the front of your lens. I have one polarizer filter and I have a 10-stop ND filter. The 10-stop ND filter will allow me to get those beautiful daytime long exposures for almost a minute. So these are the two main that I use, and each one of these will set you back between $50 to $70 per. The brands that I recommend are Tiffin, Hoya, or Gobi for these circular polarizers. Do not buy the bulk ones for like 50 bucks. So if you go on Amazon, they're going to try and sell you like 10 filters for 50 bucks. They are the worst investment. It's like burning money. They will destroy your photos, the colors on them, and you will not be able to fix it in post-process. If you have a bigger budget, then I recommend that you get yourself the Square System filter. This one is from Nisi, and it brings every single filter that I could possibly need. It's fantastic, but this will set you back between $700 to about $1,000. Now for a camera bag. I wouldn't recommend buying a brand new camera bag. Let me show you mine. This right here is a legit National Geographic camera bag. It's a beast. Look at it. Look at how awesome this is. It's got all sorts of pockets. When I go out shooting, people ask me if I'm a National Geographic photographer, and it kills me every time. Awesome. Anyways, that National Geographic camera bag, I remember when I first saw it, I bought it on Virage sales, so I would recommend either going on Kijiji or eBay. This camera bag that I just showed you cost me 50 Canadian dollars. That's about 35 American dollars. Brand new, it was easily over $200. Brand new camera bags cost between $200 to $300, but you don't need to buy a brand new one. Just go online, go on Kijiji, go on eBay. You can find tons of great camera bags for 30 bucks, 50 bucks, and you can save yourself a lot of money that way. Now, if you're doing landscape photography, another very important accessory that you will need, especially when it comes to doing long exposures that are over 30 seconds, is a cable shutter release. So you stick this into your camera. This is a little remote control that allows you to hold the shutter open for over 30 seconds. So if you want to do a long exposure that's 45 seconds or a minute, you'll need one of these, and you can easily find this one for $30. Just keep it basic. 30 bucks will do the trick, and you can use it on both your full frame and your crop sensor camera. Now for a tripod. I really like the K&F Concept tripod. I have owned the super cheap $40 tripods, and as much as I was trying to save money that way, they were very flimsy. My camera kept shaking or moving or slowly tilting when I was trying to do a long exposure. They're not sturdy, they suck. So I would definitely recommend the K&F Concept tripod that I'm using. It goes really low if I want to capture like a great foreground that's right on the bottom, but it can also go 62 inches in height to allow me to capture just a regular beautiful sweeping landscape. If you try to go with like a much higher end tripod, you could be looking at about $300, but I can vouch, at least from my personal experience with this tripod, $100 does the trick. For the final moment, here I am giving you the breakdown of what it will cost if you were to get into very specific type of photography, as well as how much money you're saving if you choose to just get a crop sensor camera versus a full frame camera, as well as the cost per the recommended lenses and gear for the specific type of photography. So here you can see that if you were to buy all these items that I'm recommending here, the total cost Canadian would be $1,770 versus $6,000 if you were to go full frame. Now, if you wanted to get specifically into landscape photography, the camera, the lens, the filters, the tripod, everything would be a total of $1,120. So if you're just getting into portraits, just your camera, your prime lens, a nice little camera bag, you're looking at about $700 to get into portrait photography. Finally, for wildlife, I would recommend the camera, the telephoto, the camera bag, and a tripod. And now you're looking at about $950. And here you can see how much money you'd be saving versus going with a full frame camera. Now, if you're not sure what kind of photography you want to get into, then just get the kit lens that comes with the camera. I've taken some really great photos with my kit lens. And then as you get more into photography and you decide that you want to do portraits or wildlife or landscape, what you can do is try to see if your local camera store will rent out lenses for you to test. Our camera store here in Calgary, we have a couple of them, and I can rent a lens for $20 a day. There you have it. Now I want to leave you with this final thought, and please hear me out. You do not need the most expensive gear and the most expensive equipment to come out with beautiful photos. I remember I would show up at these very popular photograph locations and there would be people talking about how they spent $2,000 on a lens, or they got themselves the latest camera and it was an $8,000 camera. I once was told by a very famous photographer that if I was not shooting with the latest $8,000 Sony, that he could outshoot me, outperform me, and make more money than me with my crappy little camera. Well, let me tell you, I have been able to have a pretty successful photography career with just my little basic entry-level cameras. I am very proud of the photos that I've taken. The camera that you use is important if you want to go like in a very pro level. Like if you're shooting a wedding, then yes, I would recommend. But let me tell you, you can get beautiful images. You can also buy the most expensive camera in the market, the most expensive lenses, but if you don't have an eye for composition, creativity, your editing is not good, then no matter how expensive your equipment is, your images are still not going to be great. If you found this video useful, hit that subscribe button, follow me on Instagram at MotherPixels for more tips and tricks. Feel free to visit my website as well. I have blog posts, and stay tuned, and thank you again for watching.